Ambassador, thank you for your time. Sweden has been a friend to South Africa during difficult times, even now. One country that South Africa can rely on in the midst of all the friends that Pretoria has. Now, one issue, Sweden has walked the road of coalitions and also minority government for quite a long time. I mean, since after the Second World War. Let's start with the coalitions. How has Sweden handled the coalition governments that were there?
Thank you for having me, and as you say, it's absolutely correct. Sweden and South Africa, we go long way back. Close collaboration and close friendship built on mutual respect, common values, democracy, human rights, freedom of speech, freedom of press. So we are very close. And in good times and in bad times, friends stay together. When it comes to your question of coalitions, we have experienced since the mid-70s of different kinds of coalition governments. And maybe there is not so much that we can learn, but we can ask you, please don't repeat our mistakes, because we have done so many mistakes and there is no reason to copy them. The most important is mutual respect, to find ways to build trust and confidence building mechanism. That is the answer to the question in what way a coalition can be successful. Without trust and without that kind of confidence building mechanism, it will be a very weak coalition.
Let's talk about mutual respect. What do you mean? In which areas? Because you have parties with different interests.
Yeah. When it comes to the coalition government, if everyone agrees on that we need each other, my party that I served during my 23 years in parliament and also as a period of time as the party leader, the Labour Party, we were the largest party. But if the largest party is depending on a smaller party, then you are nothing without that small partner. So you can't say, we have, as we could have said in Sweden, 40%, but you have just 6%. Then we are 8 times more important than you are. That doesn't work, because we have a mutual interest that the coalition will survive and must survive. So showing each other respect, we are in this boat together, and let's do whatever we can to take this boat safe to a harbor, and then we need to collaborate. That kind of mutual respect between the political parties. When it comes to the people of South Africa and the people of Sweden, I think mutual respect is on the understanding of the importance of democracy. To support each other, give the right for youth to express themselves, freedom of press, freedom of media. We have all over the world now authoritarian regimes gaining ground, closing down political parties, closing down media. And South Africa and Sweden, we are into this together to strengthen democracy, the freedom of press and human rights.
But when you have a smaller party that is arrogant, you can't get your way. You wouldn't.
Yes, but
you can't form a government without us. Nothing about us without us.
No, but this GNU will, but this looks now, contain of up to 10 political parties, and not all of them are needed within the GNU, because the majority can be created with less parties than that. So in a coalition, there is no room for arrogance. The big parties cannot be arrogant, saying, we are so much larger. And the small ones cannot say, you cannot do this without us. So there must be a common sense, and there must be an agreement on principles. We are here to defend those policies and those principles, and those are important to all of us. That's why we're doing this together. And then we can differ on details, continue to do that, but so to say, the creation of the house is done jointly. Then we can disagree on the color of the curtains or the sofas or the couch or whatever.
Now, on issue of trust, quite an important one, but these parties, are not one. And in terms of what we saw build up to elections, there was no trust. Even now, there's no trust.
No, and I have the privilege to live and work in this lovely country for more than 4 years, and met with so many brilliant South Africans over those years. And I realized that the lack of trust is one of the huge challenges for the whole society. We don't trust each other, and there is no contract between us as citizens. That is a challenge. But let's hope that the political parties can go one step ahead of us and actually create that kind of contract, that kind of trust, and say, we are in this for the long run. We are not here to do this out of private, personal interest. We are not doing this to get a position. We are not doing this right now because there is an urgent need for this. We are into this in the long run, and let's do it together for 5 years, and then we meet with the voters, telling the voters, we did our very, very best to make this successful. Now it's up to you to judge us.
Does it mean that that compact with the nation, with the citizens or the voters, is the national inclusive dialogue
Yes.
a way
Yes.
to achieving that?
Absolutely, absolutely. We in a very small version of this, we have something that we call the Swedish Workplace Program. That is a program on different workplaces, on social dialogue at workplaces, needed transitions, but also joint decision making at workplaces. Because if we don't trust each other, then we must find ways to share information, share knowledge, share visions. Where are we heading? Where do you and I want to be 3 years to come? And how do we travel that road? What is needed to be done? That kind of dialogue is crucial.
Let's talk about the minority government. You also have vast experience
Yes.
in relation to
Yeah.
the minority government. How will you define minority government? What is minority
The
government?
minority government is, for example, the most common one is that the Labour Party in Sweden get less than 50%, 40 something, and sign an agreement with one or two other political parties that they support the Labour Party to have the cabinet, the ministers, the prime minister, and all ministers in government. But on the other hand, there is an agreement on budget, so the small parties can influence the budget, so they can go back to their voters saying, look, we added this into the national budget. We would not ever be able to do that with our 4 or 5% support, but we did it because we had this contract with that party. So the party could stay in government, we supported them, but we had a possibility to raise our issues into the national budget.
Some people are saying minority government leads to instability. How do you manage instability where you can avoid a situation where one day a party wakes up and pass a motion of no confidence against the head of state or head of government?
Now we are back to where we started. The only answer to that is to create trust, and also look into each other's eyes saying, we are doing this together. We are doing this not with a hidden agenda. Our common goal is that this must be successful. And we promise each other to do whatever we can to make it successful. And if you can't promise each other that in the beginning of the collaboration, then it will never last. I mean, it's more or less like a marriage. When you are falling in love with someone, you are quite selfish. But the moment when you get married, your only ambition is to make this marriage happy. And this is the same in politics. You must trust each other, and you must be committed that let's do it, and let's meet with the voters 5 years to come, and then it's up to them to judge us.